y'all? Welcome to another episode of Real Talk with Real Estate, where we keep it real about investing and living in paradise. In this video, I'm going to give you my favorite side hustle that has to do with cars. I actually went to mechanical engineering school because I love cars, and this side hustle is how I was able to quit my six-figure engineering job and jump directly into real estate. I was completely broke because obviously I had no job, and I had to use the money from this side hustle to fuel my real estate business to get me from negative $30,000 to over $200,000 in the first year of business. So if you're looking to get started in real estate and you want to find a side hustle that you might be able to do to pay to jumpstart your real estate investing career, you came to the right place, because in this video I'm going to outline the step-by-step of how exactly you can do that in today's market. Let's get right into it. So first of all, what is peer-to-peer sharing? It's literally just sharing your car with other people who want to rent in your area. For me, I live in Hawaii, so it's super easy to rent to other people. And I was also getting started in the pandemic where the government completely shut down traveling. So all of these rental car companies were forced to sell off their fleet because nobody was coming here to travel. As soon as the gates started opening back up again for travelers to come here, rental car companies had no cars, and this posed a perfect opportunity for me to buy a couple cars and rent them on a platform called Turo. Is probably the #1 sharing platform for peer-to-peer rentals. And if you're living in a tourist destination, this is a great way to get started in making some money outside of working a regular 9-to-5 job. If you're not in a tourist area, I probably wouldn't recommend this, but you can still do this virtually by hiring somebody in the tourist area and then just buying the cars to fuel their business. I actually started partnering with other people who had cars that were sitting in their garage, and I was managing it for them. That way I didn't have to buy a ton of cars. I bought a couple, but most of the cars that I was renting out were other people's cars, but I still was able to make a profit with virtually no risk since it wasn't my car. So like I said, I'm going to take you step by step on how to get started on Turo, and that takes me to step #1, which is choosing the right car. You want to make sure you maximize your income by choosing the right car on Turo. You want to make sure that there's market demand for this car. Look for popular models that are in high demand, because if you're picking a car that has no demand, nobody's going to want to rent it. Not only do you choose the right car, you also need to choose the right market. So if you're not near an airport or a big city, it might not be the right market for you. Now, with that being said, you can take two different approaches to choosing the right car. You can either go the super luxury route and not necessarily have as much turnover. You just have short trips, but then you have this high payment on this car, or maybe you bought it cash, I don't know. But typically you'll have this high payment on this car, and you're gonna rent this, let's say a Lambo, out for a couple hours to somebody on Turo to just go drive around for the day. And that's gonna pay you a pretty high premium. And if you do that like once a week, most of the time your car is gonna be sitting, you can make thousands of dollars directly on this platform. For me, I took the complete other approach, because where we live is a very expensive place that people come to travel, and they're already spending so much money to bring their whole family here on vacation that I thought it might make more sense for me to take the affordable route. That way I can provide an affordable mode of transportation for these families, and they can go explore the island on a budget. Now remember that with budget cars comes budget renters, and with luxury cars may come luxury renters, or they might just be renting it for the day to go drive it around and do crazy reckless things. Either way, your car is having to do a lot of maintenance, so make sure you're picking a reliable car to use. Now step #2 is to set competitive and right pricing. You want to do your market research and look at other cars in the area and what they're renting for. You want to do this on a weekly basis. Make sure that you're updating your prices so that it matches what the market is asking in that time. For me, I typically make my prices super high 1 month in advance, because I don't want people to be booking that far in advance. I want to make sure that I'm matching the market value in that moment. So for example, a month from now, I'm going to have my prices at $95 a month. Right now, my basic car is renting for about $50 a day, because if they're gonna book that far in advance, I'm gonna let them pay that high price. But typically people don't wanna pay that high price. They're gonna book like right before their trip. So I'm gonna adjust my prices and check the week before to see what are cars like this exact car renting for in the next week, and then change the price to that price. That way I can be adjusted with the market. Turo actually provides what's called a calculator before jumping into any market market, it can give you an idea of what your car can rent for in that area. It may or may not be that accurate. I know for Hawaii, it's not very accurate because each island is different, but they do it for the whole state, so it skews the numbers. But I imagine in the mainland, it might be a little bit better and might be a little bit more accurate. So don't sleep on Calculator. Another way to get longer bookings is to provide discounts on a weekly or monthly basis. This will allow people to come rent for a longer period of time. That way you have less turnover. This is especially good for those more budget vehicles versus those luxury cars, because typically people aren't renting those luxury cars on a long-term basis. And step number 3 is to optimize your listing. You want to make sure you have very good pictures and a good description for people to want to book your car. I usually bring my car to a place that's open with a blue sky, a decent background, and take full pictures of every single angle of the interior and the exterior so that they understand what they're buying. One thing that people really like about Turo is that you don't have to go wait in a rental car line and what kind of car they're gonna give you. Your car is already specifically chosen out on Turo. That way you know exactly what you're getting and it's reserved right when you land in the airport. Make sure you highlight your car's best features. You're gonna list every single feature that you have, such as Apple CarPlay, backup cameras. Some people literally will not drive a car without a backup camera, so you wanna outline every single thing on this car. And make sure you're responsive to these requests, because this is going to overall affect your capability in being shown in the algorithm. If you get to become an all-star host by accepting at least 90% of your trips and hitting other parameters to become an all-star host, your cars are gonna end up at the very top of the search and will get booked more often. Step number 4 is to leverage your marketing strategies. You can just leverage your marketing directly on the platform, and getting all-star hosts may help you come to the top, but you also want to be promoting it on other websites or social media. Let's say you can create an Instagram page directly for your listing, and if you live in a destination place like Hawaii, go and make different videos of the cars in Hawaii with beautiful views so that people can be enticed to come to Hawaii and use your cars. Step number 5 is to provide excellent customer service. Your ratings are going to help you get more bookings. If you are providing excellent top-tier service, your car is clean, your car is detailed, you arrive on time, all of these things play a part into the whole experience of the customer, and they're going to be wanting to come back for more and tell their friends, write a good review if you do them a good service. These reviews are super important. Airbnb, if you have bad reviews, no one's gonna book your place. And if you have bad reviews on Turo, there's gonna be a high chance that people aren't gonna wanna book your place. Thankfully, we have been able to maintain an almost perfect 5-star rating, which has allowed us to get tons and tons of bookings because people know and trust that they're gonna get a good experience when renting with us. Step number 6 is to optimize availability and utilization. This just means that you wanna make your car available 24/7. You can literally choose the hours that you want the car available. So for example, we don't want to do any pickups and drop-offs on Sundays, which affects the amount of bookings that we'll get. But if we wanted more bookings, then we're going to allow literally these customers to pick up at all hours of the day. But we set our time to like 8 a.m. in the morning till 9 p.m. at night on the weekdays, and then a longer time on the weekends, because we want to be able to have our weekends. So if you want to fully optimize your Turo business to have a ton of bookings, you want to make yourself available all times of day. Not only that, you can set a minimum booking time on the platform. So if you are willing to let people rent it out for one day, you're gonna get the most bookings possible. You make the most amount of money by booking daily every single day versus doing long-term trips with discounts. But obviously there's more turnover, and you may be getting into some risky situations with some renters who just wanna go mess around for the day in your car, and it may not end up coming back, or it might come back damaged. This is just a risk that you're willing to take. Like for me, we do not do trips less than 2 days because it's just not worth the turnover for us. So you want to optimize your listing to do what's comfortable for you, but the more you optimize it to be 24 hours a day and the shortest amount of bookings possible, you're going to be able to show your listing to as many people as possible. And step number 7 is make sure you're managing your expenses and maintenance. Efficient accounting and making sure that you know what you're spending on maintenance, on how much time you're spending, how much your gas is, your insurance, and all of these things is essential to running a key business in Turo. If you don't even know how much you're spending to maintain the car, and let's say you're making $1,000 a month, but you're also spending $1,000 a month, you wouldn't know that unless you're tracking your expenses. So you want to understand what you're spending, how much you're actually making, and the overall picture to see if you are having a heavy cash flow business. You can optimize your cash flow by adding extras on the marketplace. For example, because we live in a beach destination, we offer beach chairs, coolers. You can even offer different packages like towels, tents, any kind of things that go with your destination. When I went to Yosemite, they offered this huge Yeti cooler that we could use for $50 for the whole trip, which was super helpful. So you want to optimize your listing to have these extras, that way you can make as much money as possible. And there you have it. There's the 7 steps to getting started on Turo. That way you can list your first car and start getting paid, especially if you're wanting to get into real estate and you're just trying to figure out a way to make money on a more flexible schedule while you're grinding and hustling to get your first deal. If this sounds like you and you wanted some more one-on-one coaching and accountability, I actually just announced my Elite Investor Coaching Program that you can sign up for at the link in the description below. Fill out that intake and I'll hop on a call with you to see if it's a good fit and point you in the right direction. So that's it, folks. Hope you liked that video. See you on the next one. Shoots!